That, Mr. Mayor, Kara Hildebrandt's not going to be on the Zoom tonight. She's out of the country, so we don't have a rep.
All right. I used to have Okay, well, it is 7:30, so we will call the November 1st, 2021 meeting of the Lincoln Park City Council to order. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance of the flag, which will be immediately followed by a moment of silence for all of those that have lost loved ones in the city of Lincoln Park. And if we could also be mindful of the mother of Carl Malish, Dolores Malish, who passed recently. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. For those of you that don't know, Carl Malish is our EDC and DDA director. So if we could have roll call, please.
Certainly. Councilpersons Dupre? Here. Higgins? Here. Kelsey?
Here.
Ross? Here. Salcido?
Here.
Tobin?
Here.
And Mayor Cox.
Here. Well, good evening, everyone. Happy November. Here we are already. I'm going to start things off in my comments with a couple of proclamations. The first is, whereas the government of Lincoln Park, Michigan celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. According to the United States Small Business Association, there are 31.7 million small businesses in the United States. They represent 99.7% of firms with paid employees, and they are responsible for 65.1% of net new jobs created from 2000 to 2019. And whereas small businesses employ 47.1% of the employees in the private sector in the United States, 88% of the U.S. consumers feel a personal commitment to support small businesses in the wake of the pandemic, and 92% of small business owners have pivoted the way they do business to stay open during the pandemic. Whereas 97% of small business Saturday shoppers recognize the impact they can make by shopping small, 85% of them also encourage friends and family to do so, too. And whereas 56% of shoppers reported they shopped online with a small business on a small business Saturday in 2020, and more than 50% of consumers reported shopping small endorsed a local business on social media or shopped at a local business because of a social media recommendation. Whereas Lincoln Park, Michigan supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities. And whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. So now, therefore, I, Thomas E. Carnes, Mayor of the City of Lincoln Park, Michigan, along with the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim November 27th, 2021 as Small Business Saturday, and urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year. So that's very important. Next proclamation we have is National American Indian Heritage Month. Whereas the history and culture of our great nation have been significantly influenced by American Indians and indigenous peoples. And whereas the contribution of American Indians have enhanced the freedom, prosperity, and greatness of America today. And whereas their customs and traditions are respected and celebrated as part of a rich legacy throughout the United States. And whereas Native American Awareness Week began in 1976, and recognition was expanded by Congress and approved by President George Bush in August of 1990, designating the month of November as National American Indian Heritage Month. And whereas in honor of the National American Indian Heritage Month, community celebrations as well as numerous cultural, artistic, educational, and historic activities have been planned. Now therefore I, Thomas E. Carnes, along with the entire City Council of the City of Lincoln Park, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Lincoln Park, do hereby proclaim November as National American Indian Heritage Month in Lincoln Park and urge all of our citizens to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. So that is very good, very important. Next thing that we had this past Friday, I met with, along with the city manager, with Representative Carol Clemente and Wayne County Commissioner Lona Varga, along with Mr. Candrivas of the Warren Evans of the Wayne County Executive's Office, and representatives of Michigan Department of Transportation. And it had to do with the right-of-way cuttings of the grass on a timely basis, and who was responsible and who was to take care of that. And we'll have a further report on that as we move through, but we met. It was a good meeting for approximately an hour, a little bit over, I believe, on Zoom. And like all good meetings, it spawned 2 future meetings. So we will be meeting this week with the representative of MDOT to fine-tune what it was that was discussed. In the long run, with all of this, comes down to a shortage of funds that are allotted to MDOT for the cleanup, and that we're going to be meeting with Representative Clemente to make sure that these needs get addressed and not abandoned because they don't want to pay for them on a timely basis. So that meeting is going to be this week, and then part of the other thing, Lincoln Park has some 6.5 miles of shoreline with the Ecorse River or creek, as I've known it for all these years. And they requested a meeting with Mr. Candrivas and the Drain Commission to see what the responsibilities of the county are as when it comes down to the care on the banks of the river, to get it straight, to see what can be done, what should be done, and just get that out there. So we're going to have a meeting of the minds as soon as we can set that up. Another meeting that was this past week had to do with the extensive water loss that Lincoln Park has been experiencing. It had a brainstorming session, if you would call that, the city manager, the DPS director, Mr. Kazoo. You had DPS supervisors, and the Hennessy engineers were in attendance, along with the people that would identify where the water loss may be. It has to do with we're checking meters, we're checking how the water flow is measured. We'll be looking at water main breaks and such, with the idea of getting our water losses down to a manageable level. So that's good. We'll be meeting again in a month to discuss those things. Yesterday, there were some semi-trailers over at the band shell, and they were unloading Fantasyland. And Fantasyland will be coming through up this year a little bit differently than it has been in the past. One way in, one way out. It may be by appointment only, but they're still working on that. But before this can happen, they are requiring volunteers. There is very few people that were over there unloading trucks and getting them all inside. More people are needed to put everything together. It can be a fun activity. If you have an opportunity to do so, an hour a week or every other week, they'll be hard at it until Thanksgiving. I think that we'll post the volunteer hours on our website and our Facebook page and go from there. But it can be a very rewarding experience by doing that, and it's one of our traditions that I think date back to 1964 or thereabouts. And speaking of tradition, we've had a nice tradition here the last probably be 20 years or so, I think, with CPW and the Angels Night patrols. Again, this past, I guess it was Saturday night. I know it appeared to be 15 to 20 people, all told, that were out and about, were driving with the yellow flashing lights on the roof of their cars, just being the eyes and ears for the police department, and to discourage the nay-doers from being out there. I think they did a great job, and I know that I, as well as all the council and the residents of Lincoln Park, appreciates the efforts that they did and thank them for that. Just this past week, I received a check for $66,000 from the Chief Judge of the 25th District Court, Judge Clifton, who, as a result, this was the amount that was determined that we had overpaid due to their audit, and at which point we will, the check has been turned over to our city manager, and so we are currently awaiting the audit for the next 2 years also. When speaking of our city manager, we will have, he has been here for over a year now with the COVID situation that we've had. It's hard to believe that a year has gone by, but a year plus some has. The time has come for us to, a council, to do an evaluation. I have evaluation forms prepared, so my goal is to get these to all of council within the next few days, and then if you could fill them out and get them back to me, I can do a tally of this, and then once I have all of these tallied, then I will set a special meeting, probably prior to a council meeting, at which point we could do the evaluation. So we have that, and then lastly, we've had a new company do our tree list and our tree trims, and by what I've been hearing is that they've been doing an awful lot of work, and I thought that it was time that we would bring the company in and put a face to the names. So today we have Jacob Cantlin of Limb Walkers that are with us today. And Jacob, I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit about the process that you're doing, where you're going to in town, just how your company operates, if you can.
Yeah, so you guys had a pretty crazy list going on that I guess you guys have been dealing with for a lot of years. So we've just been going street, so we got a list of, like, I don't know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday service areas.
Yes.
So what we've been trying to do is just kind of pick a street and go through and hit every trim and every removal on that list. I have asked everybody to stop keeping adding to the list, and let's focus on getting these old ones done first, to try to get some of this backlash off us. I know as of right now, since we've started with you guys right around 4 months ago, we've done 337 trees in the city of Lincoln Park, whether that be trims or removals. Just since October 1st, we've done 117 trees. We were able to put a second crew in there and try to get caught up on this. And that leaves us with, on the primary list, you guys are looking at about 100 removals and 224 trims remaining. We're hoping to try to have that done for you guys by March.
Jacob, what type of, you mentioned a crew. What does a crew entail?
So each one of our crews is a bucket truck, a chipper, a mini skid, and 3 guys minimum. Now, sometimes on our trim crew, we will run just 2 guys on a trim crew. Just there's no point in having a guy standing around, and we could stack another crew doing a removal.
So do you get situations where you might be in a neighborhood and a neighbor comes up and says, well, I need this one done over here?
We do. I would say at least twice a day on average. It's, there for a while. When we first started this, we were kind of under a little bit different direction. We were told that if we were on a street and we seen something that needed to be done, or somebody came and addressed us with something that needed to be done, using my best opinion as a certified arborist to determine whether we should do that or not. So we were doing that at first, but the problem is now we're getting hung up on, people that have asked me now, and they haven't been waiting on the list like some of these people have. So what we started doing is referring them back to, I think, Penny, to go ahead and get on the new list that she started for us after we complete this one.
Okay, so our goal is to get this list, that people that have been waiting, and then we start a new one and attack those.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that you're a certified arborist. What is a certified arborist?
Well, I'm what's considered a certified utility arborist. Basically, I have the training and the knowledge and passed the test saying that I know trees. Trees are my expertise, and I can identify different trees, different diseases, and help come up with ways to mitigate diseases coming into the city, which the biggest one right now would be the oak wilt. So that is the only trees that at this point right now we cannot trim those. So even if I come up to it and they've been on the list for 2 years and they want me to trim that tree, I cannot do that tree unless it's 45 degrees or less for 3 consecutive days after the trimming. So it's a fancy word of saying that I know trees and I know the diseases and I have the knowledge to keep your guys' trees healthy.
Well, and you can determine if a tree is healthy or not and needs to be cut down also?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. I'll just open this up to council while we're here, since we have Jacob here, representing the company, if you have any questions for him before we release him.
Through the chair, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Are there Islam walkers in the city Monday through Friday, or are there just particular days? And then are they working in correlation with the no parking schedules?
Yes, ma'am. So we have a crew there, obviously weather permitting, but we usually have at least one crew there every day, Monday through Friday, and we are working in the city service areas. Now, the issue that we are about to run into with doing these lists is, I think it's like Monday or Tuesday. I've only got another day or so, and that whole Tuesday list will be, trims and removals is going to be done. So what I've asked of the DPW is to get me, something I can staple to the tree, no parking, via city ordinance due to the tree removal. That way we're not stopping the progression of all this getting done.
Very nice.
Yes, the DPS director has the authority to declare no parking in certain areas, and I think that they have, or at least the police department has, temporary no parking on certain dates that they can take care of that for you. They used to do it for parades and things.
Yes,
I don't
sir.
think
Yep.
that.
So that's the one thing that I would say by next week. And actually, I think I talked to James a little bit about this. But by next week, I'm gonna need something along those lines, just so that we're not slowing the production down. And these guys, if we're spending an hour getting cars moved, that's how many trees that could have been done. And obviously that costs my company money, and at the same time, it costs the city the time of people complaining that their trees aren't getting done because we're busy moving cars.
Yeah, well, some people have been waiting for a couple of years, and then it would be frustrating if they did you finally see the crew show up, and then a car is there preventing the work to be done. So
Yes, sir.
it's
Yes, sir.
frustrating,
Yep.
frustrating all around, I guess.
Yes, sir. And I think that we're all on the same page. I know I've talked to Frank and I've talked to James, and I believe there's something that we're working to get that situated to keep that from being a problem. Like I said, I know we're good for this week, but come next week, we're definitely going to have to start working sometimes out of their service day, just to keep the production going.
I would think that, well, if you get with the DPS director and the chief of police, they will figure out something. I think imagine a day ahead of when you anticipate being there, you can take care of it. Well, we've heard good things about your work, sir. I just wanted you to be here and, put the face forward for the company. We appreciate everything and for you being here tonight.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Thank you. We look forward to working with you guys.
All right, and so
Yeah.
with that, then I will end my comments and move on to the consent agenda. Resolved that the following items listed on the consent agenda be approved as presented to the mayor and city council. The one, approved minutes, regular meeting held October 18, 2021. Two, approved Christmas tree lot 3313 Dix. 3, approved charitable solicitations, Goodfellows. 4, scheduled study sessions, DPS evaluation. 5, participation residential rehab program.
I'll move.
Okay. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Ross,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Dupre,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
Hovind,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Okay. Next item that we have is a public hearing. RE to removal of planning commissioner. I'm going to call the public hearing to order. It's at 7:51 p.m. We have John Myers, our chief building official. John?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a request for Ontario to be, we've sent him a letter, we've recommended for him to be invited to each of the planning commissions. We deliver hand papers for over the last year and a half, and to his office as well as his home by digital. And we have not seen him present in our meetings in the last 18 months. And therefore, we've asked and sent the legal documents requesting him to be aware that we would ask council to remove him from the planning commission at this time, so it would make a position for someone else to fill, and that we would be more adequately prepared to meet quorums as we move forward.
Okay. City Attorney, you wish to be heard?
Yes, I'd just like to place a couple of things on the record. I'm uncertain. I'd like the mic if I can be heard by council, if one of them would indicate if they can hear me audibly. All right. Mr. Myers, was notice served of this hearing this evening to the member of the commission?
Notice was served first through the planning commission, and their recommendation was to write a letter. We reviewed that letter at planning commission, and then we sent that recommendation of concern from the planning commission through my office to him personally by U.S. Postal Service as well.
And it is not.
Another item of tonight's meeting by certified mail.
All right, and has it been received, Madam Clerk, with a return receipt?
Yes.
All right, so there's notice, Your Honor. We just want to make the record clear that there's notice. Mr. Myers, your position is that this is a removal for cause, which is the failure to attend meetings pursuant to the instructions in the city's codified ordinances and policies and procedures?
That is.
Your Honor, would you, as the chair of the council meeting, inquire whether the member of the commission is in the audience, prepared to speak, or anyone wishes to speak on his behalf?
Okay, is Arturo Briones here with us on the call? Or is there someone that wishes to speak on his behalf?
Your Honor, then, if there's no response, we would move on behalf of the city and its commissions this time for default judgment, removing him from the commission pursuant to the ordinance and pursuant to the charter.
Well, that's when we get to action items.
Yes, well, we're just doing it now to make it part of the record at the end of the hearing, and we'll come back and do that, Your Honor.
So is there public comment? Okay, I'm not hearing anyone. So we will adjourn the public hearing at 7:55 p.m. Moving on to the action items. Whereas Chapter 291.02 of the Codified Ordinances defines reasons that commissioners can be removed for just cause, and whereas Planning Commissioner Arturo Briones is in violation of Chapter 291.02C by failing to attend any meetings of the Planning Commission in the past 12 months. And whereas the Commissioner has been given notification that he is in violation of Chapter 291.02C, and whereas the Planning Commission has voted to remove Commissioner Briones from the Commission due to his lack of attendance, and whereas the Mayor and Council have held a public hearing and the Commissioner has been given a chance to show cause as to why he should not be removed. Now therefore be it resolved that Planning Commissioner Arturo Briones is hereby removed from the Planning Commission for just cause due to his failure to attend meetings for the past 12 months.
So moved.
Okay, discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Person Higgins?
Yes.
Dupre?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Alcido?
Yes.
Tobin?
Yes.
And Mayor Cox.
Yes. Our next item has a cover letter from our city clerk, Carrie Kerr. The purpose of this request is to allow a new business to obtain an used auto dealer license for 2021. Applicants have complied with code requirements per the building official and provided proof of insurance. All applicable fees are paid. Resolved that a new business obtain an annual 2021 used auto dealer's license be approved for the following location. First Choice Auto Sales and Auto Care LLC, 1027 Southfield Road.
I'll support.
Okay, we have discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilperson Higgins?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Dupre?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Alcido?
Yes.
Tobin?
Yes.
And Mayor Cox.
Yes. Next item is resolved that the mayor and city council approve the generator maintenance contract extension for American Generator Sales and Service, LLC, Waterford, Michigan, to service the city's generators for years 2021 and 2022 for a total amount not to exceed $6,900 for 2021 and $6,900 for 2022 to come from 101-263-931000 Building and Grounds Facilities Maintenance, 592-500-931000 Retention Basin Facilities Maintenance, 592-527-931000 Sewer Department Facility Maintenance, 760-136-931000 Court Facilities Maintenance, and 101-720-931000 Community Center Facilities Maintenance.
So moved. Support.
Discussion?
Through the chair, Your Honor,
Yes, sir, go ahead.
a couple of questions. Actually, it says for the year 2021. Well, if we shoot this down, that means we get a free year out of them? And my next question is, some of you can ponder that one, but do they check these on a regular basis or only if they break down no maintenance zone? Is it, you know, because there's several of these that I see in the city, so is it continuous maintenance or just when they break down they're there to fix them? Does anybody have that answer?
Okay, do we have our DPS director, Mr. Kazoo?
Mayor and Council, if I could,
Yes, go ahead.
there is a preventative maintenance that is done twice a year for each generator. Once in the springtime, once in the fall, and that's what it is. It's preventative maintenance. And if they run across a problem, then what they will do is they will give us a quotation to repair that problem. So it is twice a year. And going back to your earlier question on the 2021 and 2022, I would make the suggestion that if this is approved, we would start the 2-year process from tonight's date.
Thank you, Mr. Kazoo. Thank you.
Further discussion? Okay, clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Dupree,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
Tobin,
Yes.
and Mayor Katz.
Yes. Okay, the next item that we have has a cover letter from John Kazoo, GPS Director. In background, the City of Lincoln Park opened bids on September 1, 2021 for the 2021 and 2022 lead water service replacement program. Hennessy Engineers Incorporated notifies us of 4 bids received. The 4 bids received were All Seasons Underground Contracting, $4,233,291. Bidigar Contracting, $4,568,560. Brico Contracting, $4,581,855. And Major Concrete at $4,962,500. Okay. The lowest bidder, as I just read, was for All Seasons, which includes concrete and lawn restoration work to equate to approximately $10,055 per service. Hennessy Engineers recommends that the city should reject all bids and rebid the project in early 2022. So be it resolved that the mayor and city council hereby authorize the city to reject all bids for the 2021 and 2022 lead water service replacement program and rebid the project in early 2022.
So move with a question.
I'll support.
Okay, sir. Councilman Higgins, go ahead.
Why are they recommending that we reject it? Doesn't say that in any of the paperwork.
Mayor, the unit price that came back was actually twice what was anticipated in this. We're seeing crazy inflation because everybody has put these projects out to bid. As more companies start getting into the business of doing this, we should likely see some better pricing.
Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, we're just basically, we're taking a chance that we'll get a lower bid.
Right.
Well, when,
Who's the chair you're on?
yes, just a second, sir.
Go ahead.
You didn't
James?
answer my question.
James, when did we authorize going out for bids for this?
Not certain that there was, that this ever came to mayor and council. We can't seem to find a resolution of that.
John or Hennessy, can you clarify that?
Mayor John Kazoo, or Mayor and Council, I should say, John Kazoo. The only recollection I can recall on this is we had a DPS meeting to discuss this topic. And we knew that we were late in the 2021 year. And I believe that we had asked or gotten permission through the city manager because it was late in the year. But that's my recollection. I don't believe that it did go to the mayor and council for their concurrence.
Okay, well, that's, to me, is a valid reason to disallow the bids anyway. Who, was it council president that you wanted to be
Yes,
heard?
sir.
Go ahead.
Couple of questions and maybe some comments. If I'm not mistaken, I think, wasn't the original cost gonna be like 4,000, 4,500 per home at one time?
Yes, that's where I came in with, the price that came back was more than twice we anticipated.
Gotcha. And I know, I believe in July, wasn't there $3 million appropriated for lead line replacement? We do have some money, right? And also ARK funds available?
It has not been appropriated for it yet. It is
Nope.
discussed that is a potential future project. We're trying to avoid using ARPA funds for this because it's largely believed that should this infrastructure package come through, there's supposed to be some lead service line money in that. So we're trying to squeeze the most amount of projects out of the different funding sources that we can, because there's not going to be the ability to use the infrastructure money for some of the other ARPA projects we're planning.
Okay, last question then. Are we supposed to have so many houses done per year?
Right. So we have 20 years to replace all of the lead service lines. We actually before coming to mayor and council to discuss rejecting these, we did reach out to Eagle, and they were totally understanding of the fact that the prices were outrageous and beyond what Eagle would be paying for through their grants. So to put it in perspective, skipping a single year truly only adds about 0.26% on what we would need to do annually through the next 19 years.
Gotcha. If I can have one more question, Your Honor?
Sure, go ahead.
Last one is, I don't know, because I do remember this conversation, and correct me if I'm wrong, like if we hired a dedicated crew, maybe some DPS specialist or an outside engineer, could this be done in-house? Would that save us money?
It is. I don't know about saving money, but it is possible to maybe look at bringing an inside, like a crew, to do it in-house. It's possible. We'd have to really do some costing of it, but there'd be a lot. There'd be a lot of expertise we'd need, a lot of training,
Gotcha.
potentially some new equipment. There'd be definitely a significant upfront cost.
Thank you, James.
Further discussion?
Yeah, question to the chair.
Yes,
Either Hollingsworth or Mr. Kazan. Two questions, actually. You talked about rebidding it in early 2022. What are we talking about? The first quarter of 2022, or we haven't decided yet?
I think typically it's a good idea to try and bid construction work early on in the first quarter, usually January, February if you can. Tend to get better pricing because then contractors start booking you and then they work their schedule around the others as opposed to the other way around.
I guess my last question is, how many lead lines have we done already since this program was mandated? Does anybody know how many we've done?
Oh, that's a good question, because we've been doing them on road reconstructions and water main projects, so I'd have to defer that to Jim or John.
Yeah, this is Jim Hollingsworth. Yeah, I would say we're probably averaging at least 50 a year in the road project. That was one of the criteria when we were kind of looking at the roads as well, is to try to look at areas where we're going to be replacing the water main, and we felt that trying to focus on trying to get as many lead service leads done at one time during the road reconstruction, we thought that would be a good way to do it. So we try to focus on blocks that have the majority of the lead service leads. And also I'd like to apologize. I didn't even realize that we didn't come to mayor and council, so I do apologize for that. Mayor and council, we were waiting for Eagle to determine whether or not we were going to get a grant. we realized that Eagle did not qualify us for the grant. And at that time, we kind of met in a DPW meeting, thought maybe we could put it out for bids, try to get a 2-year contract, maybe we could get good prices on that. And probably in that haste to try to make sure we got it done this year in order to try to get some of them done this year. I take full responsibility. I didn't realize at the time we didn't come back to the mayor and council, so for that I do apologize.
I guess my only follow-up question would be is, Jim, is this going to put us behind? I mean, because we're going to have to catch up, and the longer we wait, and I know what the city manager said, but I'm concerned about the longer we wait, the harder it's going to be to catch up, because we're going to be, the whole idea was 20 years from Eagle so that everybody could, feather out the amount of work to do and all that. And I'm just concerned is we don't have a variable, we don't have a positive yet, because we don't know what's going to happen next year. So, I mean, is this going to put us, because we're going to have to bid it out next year and then wait for the bids to come back. Are we going to be behind? Is that going to hurt us any, Jim? I mean, we can still maintain our, like James says, our response to Eagle, so we're not in violation? Or is that a good question to ask, Jim? Maybe James.
I know that John did reach out to Eagle to ask that specific question, because I believe we have 207, if we stayed on the 20% per year, I'm sorry, I believe it was 5% per year for 20 years, we would have 207. So with that, yeah, I would say we would probably have to focus on getting more done in a year. So instead of maybe 207, we might have to add some additional on. We'll also count the number that we're doing during the road reconstruction projects as well. And hopefully between the two of them, we'll be able to catch up fairly quickly.
Okay, I'm just worried that we're not going to be, get in violation and have to go gangbusters and something falls apart and go behind the 8 ball. But that's fine. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah. I'm all set. Thank you.
Further discussion?
Your Honor, through the chair.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Because this didn't come up we weren't asked permission for this to come up for bid, and because we know it has to go back up for bid, and we have had issues with getting stuff back on our with things coming back to us in a timely way. Should we add a date of when we want this to come back out to bid into this motion?
Well, if you're asking me, we've already had the commitment that it's going to be done in the first quarter. I don't think that it's necessary to put it on the motion. But okay, further discussion?
Yeah, through the chair. Go ahead. I'm good. I like Councilman Higgins. I'm sorry. I like Councilman Higgins' suggestion, and I think I would support that if he made them. If the motion.
I'll make that a motion, then. I will make that a motion.
So we actually get it made. Thank you. Thank you.
Aren't you in the middle of a motion right now?
The city attorney is asking if we're in the middle of a motion. We are. Yes.
So you have to vote on that one first. And then if they want to propose a motion to set it up for this or whatever, they can do it. They can follow up with it, but they've got to vote on the motion to reject the bid at this time.
Yep.
Okay. So is there anything further on the motion to reject the bid?
Yes, Your Honor, please.
Yes, go ahead.
This for probably Jim or John, but you guys said you did over maybe close to 50 homes. So there was cement work and pipe work done. What was the cost of those? Even though I know you did in conjunction with the roads, who did the specialty work that we're talking about such a high price? What was, you know what I mean? Who did the work on these houses that we can't get in the future? That makes sense.
Yeah, I can answer that, Councilman. What we did is, that was under, if you recall, we extended the contract for GV Cement to do the road reconstruction and water main replacement. So as part of that project, the contractor had his price locked in at that point, and they kept the price for those lead service leads. They didn't want to keep them, but we basically told them if they didn't, then we would have to rebid it. So.
All right, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
City Attorney is asking to speak on this, so go ahead, sir.
Your Honor, all parties stand corrected here. The city manager advises me that the current resolution before council has a rebid project in early 2022, and if someone wants to add, not beyond a certain date or whatever to do that bid, they can do that, but the language does provide for rebidding in early 2022. You want to rebid in January, you can change early to January. You want to rebid in February, you want to define early, you can, but it's already there.
Okay, basically what the city attorney is saying is that it's in there. If you wish to put a specific time on there, then you could put a specific month.
We'll let it stand.
Okay. And in the end, this was not submitted the way that it should have been submitted. So we should have been requested for this to go. So the further discussion? Can clerk call the roll?
Councilpersons Higgins,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Dupre, Kelsey,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
Tobin. Miss Tobin's having some internet issues. She texted me and said that she can hear us, but she can't. Evidently, we can't hear her. She can't be seen. So, move on, Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Okay, the next item that we have are accounts and claims payable. There is one item on here that has been check release for due date. That's the Blue Cross Blue Shield item. So resolved that the accounts and claims payable for those items greater than $25,000 be approved as follows. Blue Cross Blue Shield, October 2021 retiree med advance plans, retirees and actives, $190,753.87. BSNA, annual support service fees, application access fees 2021-2022, $36,789. Commercial grounds, landscape maintenance, and DDA, July, August, and September landscaping 2021, $26,597.46. DTE, September 2021 street and traffic light maintenance, $54,624.64. GV Cement, 7312, number 10, Concert Reconstruction Program, $152,364.26. GFL Environmental, September dumpster DPS and November residential curbside 2021, $204,308.01. McKenna Associates, September 2021 building services, $71,002.57. City Riverview dumping service, September 2021, $26,774.35.
I'll move.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Ross,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Dupre,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
Tobin. Can't hear Mayor Carnes.
Yes. All right. That brings us to the city manager's report. Mr. Krazan?
Yes, hi. Thank you, Mayor. Not a whole lot of updates for tonight, but actually most of it is good news. Did receive word that working through Representative Kara Clementi's office, we were able to receive what's called a Michigan Enhancement Grant. This is going to be $128,000 to install signal preemption devices. We've got, I believe, 6 different intersections identified. So this will allow for the public safety vehicles, the police and fire, to actually, if they're coming up to an intersection and they have a red light, they'll be able to make the light change so that they'll be able to go through safer, quicker. So it should hopefully increase response times and just generally make things a little smoother. So that's exciting. So we should have a grant agreement to you guys soon. So there's that. Tonight you guys got a good update on the trees. That was something I had noted, but I'm not gonna belabor the issue. Just that the tree company is doing a really good job and really working hard to get through it. We recently had an Ecorse Creek committee meeting. We were doing a quick debrief over the summer's cleanup events. Extremely successful. We've grown from one event to 3 active events and 1 passive event in spring. During these events, we actually had collected approximately 3,000 pounds of debris that we weighed and put in dumpsters. We pulled that out of the creek. And I do know there's actually going to be a small group that goes out in about a week, and they're going to be pulling out a number of shopping carts they couldn't get to during the last event. So Ecorse Creek is getting cleaned up. We're making some significant progress there. The last thing I'll add is that we're wrapping up the fiscal year 21 audit, and just generally things seem to be looking pretty good. Generally good news that we're seeing. So with that, I'm happy to entertain any questions anybody might have.
Questions for the city manager?
Through the chair.
Councilman Higgins, you were first.
Okay. I'm seeing a lot of complaints about GFS or the trash pickup, particularly with the recycling, with the recycling being mixed with the garbage. I've seen a couple of videos. Can you tell us what we've done about that?
Right, so I saw the same video. I had that sent to me. I sent that off to the leadership at GFL, the regional director, the president, and they assured me that the individual driver that was seen in the video is being dealt with, and every driver on our routes was going to go through an individual retraining regarding making sure things are done and done right. Especially because we've consistently explained the issue with this and consistently explained other things that came out of that video. Dumping aside from just dumping the 2 into the same truck, but then placing the cans back in the street, even though we've continuously asked. And they've assured me that they would retrain their drivers. I will say I haven't received any kind of update as far as complaints go on that. So I can't say whether or not it seems to have worked, but the complaints have been slowing up a little bit.
Okay. My second question is, back not too long ago, we were told by September we would probably see at least one of the marijuana stores open. It is now November, no stores. Can you give me an update?
Okay, so the last update I had was that the one store, and I'll let John take over, but one store had gotten through all of our processes and was beginning construction, and then the other one just had yet to submit actual site plans and finalize their approval process. So, but I'll turn that over to John because I see he's popped on the screen.
1504 J.A. Paplis is in the process of deconstructing and reconstructing the interior work of their project. They are going to build primarily for medical and recreational retail first, and then plan, once that is open and you have a C of O, they'll plan for their grow facility to be established on the second phase. The 1005 John A. Paplis now has their planning commission process done. They also now have their construction site, plan review completed, or in, I should say, and now they've been granted the right to do demolition on the inside, waiting for final review on their construction plan reviews.
So can you estimate a date of when they may be open?
Next year.
Next year. Okay. And lastly, city manager, I just want to update on where are we with the alley project? We rushed in and we were said that things are going on. Tell me what's going on with the alley project.
All right, so we have actually assigned a couple of our DPS guys a couple days a week to go through and do some preliminary cleanup in the alleys of the debris, so we can get a good idea of what we need to do. We've also had code enforcement out, and they did ticket a handful, I think something like 52 or 82. Chief Waters is probably kicking and screaming at the screen because my numbers are off. But there were a number of tickets issued to adjoining property owners who have let their vegetation grow into the alley. And the majority of those, and I say ticket, but notices, the majority of those notices actually were dealt with. And the property owners took care of the vegetation that was cutting over. So there is some progress. It's going to be a long haul. We've neglected the alleys for a very long time. They didn't get like this in a week. It's going to take some time to get them back. But we do have feet on the ground working on them not as we speak because it's nighttime, but as we keep moving through.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, was it Councilwoman Ross that was next?
Through the chair,
It was, okay, Councilwoman Dupre, go ahead.
James, I was watching two of the sweepers limp back to the yard on Friday, and I was wondering, I couldn't remember, and I looked through my papers, what's the status with the new sweepers? I know we saw the paperwork and we talked to the gentleman Clark. Where are we on that?
Well, so again, this is a project that had not been budgeted. So we need to take some time to look through. We need to find some funding sources. We need to try and figure out how to make this happen if we're going to make this happen. It's pretty hard within the second quarter of the year to go ahead and make a purchase this significant without doing some real due diligence. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're taking a look and hope to bring something back in the future here. I can't give a specific though.
Okay, thank you.
through the chair.
Councilwoman Ross, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. James, the Wayne County Booster Vaccine Clinic, we are doing that at the community center, correct?
Yeah, it has been still going on, in a smaller scale than it had when it first started, but yes.
Right. Do we have that posted anywhere? On our website, on our Facebook, somewhere?
Did. We had continuously, I'm just checking our Facebook page as I'm talking. Doesn't look like we've put up a post in a little bit. We'll confirm the dates and times and we can get one up.
Thank you, I appreciate that. But as far as the comments on the sweepers, Councilwoman Dupre mentioned she's seen them limping along, and I had one, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, break down in front of my house and got towed back to the yard. So we're going to have to find the money. We're going to have to do something.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a priority. It's just making sure we do it and do it right.
Okay, thank you. And then lastly, could we please get the LP Pride reports and the building department reports?
And noting that as we speak.
Thank you. And that's...
Through the chair, Your Honor.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Since we're on order on sweepers, I was looking through my notes. I know we had a study session in September, and we're supposed to come back with it on the agenda at the end of October, because it was on my mind also. So my question is, I have the proposed budgets going back from 2019, 2021, 21, 22, and on every page it does list sweepers for up to $20,000 in each one of these booklets that I have. So I guess my question is, like, we see them limping and getting towed away. Are we in trouble or facing fines from Eagle for not sweeping? Are we on task as we speak as the leaves fall? This is in my opinion, a very sensitive subject since it's been going on for a while. So if they can answer those questions about, it's on the proposed budgets from the last 4 years, money allotted to the DPS, but we're not doing nothing. So where's that money allotted to then, if someone can help me?
So I can't quite speak to the budgets that happened before I was here, but there was no request in this budget. There was no request to purchase sweepers. There's not part of the capital improvement plan. I don't know if the money was requested in the past and not given, but if it was part of the budget in the past, if it was a budgeted item, then for some reason it wasn't expended.
Okay, well, the last two booklets does have list sweepers down. That's why I'm just trying to, maybe Mr. Kazoo can help me, or we'll just bring it on the agenda, but we need to really focus on the sweeping, that's all. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Anything else for the city manager?
Yes, Your Honor, if I may.
Yeah.
To the chair.
Go ahead.
I hate to beat a dead horse, but I'm looking at an email back in August, the 11th, sent to the council and to the mayor by John with all the information on the package for the sweepers, what it would cost, and how to finance them. And now we're talking October, and I'm kind of wondering, how much longer are we going to be talking about this? I mean, either we have the money or we don't have the money. It's not going to magically appear next month or the month after. So I guess what I'm saying is, I'm reiterating some of the comments of the council and saying, we need to have a meeting so that we can sit down and hash this out. And there's a long history here. These speakers are 14 years old. They ain't getting any younger. And the bottom line, the price, if I remember looking at the attachments, the longer we wait, the price of those sweepers, if and when we decide to buy them, is going to jump a lot of money. And I don't know about the council, but I don't like paying twice for the same thing. And the bottom line is that we need a date, concrete date, where the management team can bring it back to the council and we discuss yes, no, yay, or whatever. And I'm frustrated because this has been going on since August, and now all of a sudden in October we're talking about the fact that we're going to have to discuss it a little bit later because we still haven't decided what we're going to do. I mean, I'm sorry, but I got a problem. And I guess I'm kind of a guy, you tell me either yes or no, and we'll go from there. The other issue is if I could go through the city manager, because I'm sure he doesn't have an answer because he doesn't know where the money's coming from, but we still have to have the study session to decide where the money's coming from. The other question I got is, we allocated $330,000 for the alleys. Have we spent any of that money, and who got the money? What department got the money, if we spent any?
We have not spent any of the money yet. I have a feeling. I have a feeling most of that money is going to go to contractors to remove vegetation and then help repair some of the infrastructure that's in the alleys.
Okay.
But we're still, as we're still cleaning up, we're finding where we need to put the money.
Okay. I just want to make sure that somebody can get back to council, and I should say through the chair to the city manager, and gives a council report where that money's being spent. If it's a contractor, we'll see the thing. If it's going to overtime, that's fine, we'll see it, just to know where it's going and how we're coming on it. That's one of my requests. The other item I'm still going to say through the chair to the city manager, I personally am requesting a meeting. We need a meeting on these sweepers. Like I said before, the time is ticking, and all the council got this email. I'm not talking about nothing that nobody didn't get their inbox back in August. So we've seen the documentation. I mean, 4 months is a long time. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I work in an organization. Give that to the chair, to the city manager. I'd like to see a meeting schedule on this and some conclusion. Thank you, Your Honor.
Through
Yes.
the chair?
Hold on just a second. Mr. Kazan, I seem to recall that at that sweeper meeting, that the DPS director was going to come back and present to council options that were available to us after his discussion with the owner of the one company that was there. Now, I haven't.
That sounds about right.
Okay, so review the past meeting, and then make sure that section happens next, that we pair what our options are going to be, whether it would be a lease, or we'd have to go out for bid for them, or if this guy is a Michigan bid guy, then we could make our determination there. So if you could review that for me. Councilman Higgins, go ahead.
Yeah, it was asked earlier and we never got an answer. Are we up to date right now with our sweeping?
Is John still on the call? John, where are we at with sweeping? I know we've had guys out pretty much every day. The equipment and weather allow.
Mayor and Council, if I could, as we speak, we have 2 active sweepers. One was just towed in approximately last Wednesday. We're waiting on parts for that repair. And the 4th sweeper, we have a hydraulic drive motor that is presently on a 200-day back order. We're trying to scavenge a hydraulic motor to put that 4th sweeper back into functionality, but scavenging a motor for it, we have no idea how long that would last. And like I said, we ordered the hydraulic motor back in July, at which time they told us that it was on a 200-day back order. So presently, as we speak, we have 2 functioning. One we hope to get functioning once we receive the parts. I anticipate receiving the parts probably Wednesday, 2 days to install that. So I'm hoping next Wednesday to get that 3rd one up and operational. And I'm hoping to get the 4th one with a scavenged hydraulic motor back into that particular sweeper. And again, I just don't know how long these will operate.
Okay.
That's
Yes or no question. Are we up to date with our sweeping, or are we behind on our sweeping? Yes or no?
I think we're a little bit behind, but I think very shortly with this cold weather, I believe that those leaves are going to drop in a heartbeat. At that point in time, we will be significantly behind.
Thank you.
Anything further for the city manager?
Through the chair, I wasn't at the last meeting. I was just wondering if we had set a date to discuss the DPS evaluation.
Yes, it's part of the package for tonight.
Mm-hmm. We just did that tonight. We're going to do a special study session prior to next meeting.
Okay, that must have been when I was cutting out. Thank you.
Okay, hearing nothing else for the city manager, we'll move on to our department head.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm
Yes.
sorry, one quick thing for the city manager, please.
Go ahead.
James, could you just tell us so that the residents at home know what's going on with Goddard?
Yeah, so on Goddard, there is some preventative work going on, some crack and joint sealing that's taking place. We also, the DPS was also out doing some pothole patching. This is taking place between Dix and 4th Street on Goddard. So for the next two more days, there's no parking on either side of the street.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, then moving on to our department head report, we have our library director this week, Nicole Kessler. So Nicole, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I don't have a great amount of news or updates. Our usage statistics and the number of people we have coming in the library has consistently been getting higher these past 3 to 4 months. So we are going to be expanding our hours. We will be opened Monday through Thursday from noon to 8 p.m. every evening, and then Saturdays from noon to 5. We have also added a large book donation bin inside the library so that people have one centralized area in the library where they can drop off items they wish to donate. I believe the Friends are looking to have a used book sale in the spring of next year, but they have not yet set a date for that. And we also have, we're in the process of developing some tutorials for our website on using Libby, which is the app that our residents can use with their library card to access ebooks. That's about all I had, unless anyone had questions.
So I found the Libby is quite easy to use and has been a good resource through this COVID thing that we had going on.
Yes, we've had a lot more people using it since COVID.
So how would a library patron sign up for that program? That app?
All they would need is to download the app on their phone or tablet from the App Store. It's spelled Libby. And once they have that set up, they would just need to enter their library card number and their PIN number.
Okay.
And the default PIN is the last 4 numbers of their phone number.
Okay. Very good. Just any questions for Nicole?
Yes, Your Honor, through the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello, Nicole. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. I haven't been there in the library in a while, but I'm just wondering, are you guys practicing like mask mandates and social distancing and COVID precautions? Are you guys full open now?
We are fully open, but as with all the other city buildings, people do need to wear a mask to enter the building. And also we have social distancing in our line to check out books. We have that taped off. And we also have less computers available than we used to because we have barriers set up between the computers and more space in between the computers to stop the spread.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Nicole.
Thank you.
Anything else for Nicole? Well, thank you for being with us tonight. We appreciate that. And if you haven't been to the library in a while, stop in. It looks like it's expanded hours. And you can visit the kind staff there. We appreciate your efforts, Nicole.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. We'll now move on to citizen communications. James, if you would give people the ability to unmute themselves, I guess, and then we'll open it up for whoever would like to speak. Okay, I don't see anybody attempting to join us. We'll move on to oral reports of the mayor and council. Council President Salcido.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Hey, real fast, Eric Zor, resident of Lincoln Park, he had texted me last week about he knows a group of volunteers that's willing to work at Fantasyland, so I can send a note to him and have him, who should he contact to help with Fantasyland?
Well, it'd be probably Sharon King. You can get a hold of her at the chamber office, at the chamber phone number. Or if
All right, I
you,
don't have two things tonight, Your Honor.
okay.
First off, I think maybe one of my colleagues had mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but I've been in there twice in the last 2 weeks. The Antique and Such shop on Emmons and Fort Street. I was in there last week. The shop looks really nice. There's something for everybody. So please check it out on Emmons and Fort Street, the old Blockbuster building and old, I believe, Cunningham Drugs back in the day. Also have, Your Honor, is Happy Veterans Day to all our veterans coming up November 11th, especially the residents who live in Lincoln Park. Thank you for your service to our country. And that's all I have tonight, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And there'd be a bell ringing at the museum at 11 o'clock. We'll talk about that later on during my time.
Thank you.
Councilman Higgins.
Yes, as the mayor mentioned earlier, we did the annual Angel Night, and everything was so nice. I'd like to thank everybody who came out, who volunteered. I truly enjoy driving around through the city and doing that, and it was really cool this year for me was we were actually getting people who stopped me a number of times who said, thank you for doing this, recognizing the light, and actually spotted something that was an issue, pointed it out, and we were able to take care of it, inform the police, and they took care of it. And I just want to give a big thank you to everybody involved. It was a very, very good experience. I also want to bring up, since we just talked to the librarian, that on December 5th, the Hands of the City are going to be doing a fundraiser at the library, for the library, and we are going to have Santa Claus there, craft show there, and we are going to be introducing the world to a brand new young man who will be doing balloon art. So Looney the Balloonies will be doing balloon art at the library on December 5th. Come out, have a good time. Also, I want to wish everybody a good Veterans Day. That's all for tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Councilwoman Tobin.
First, I want to apologize for my internet issues tonight. They've been very severe. The only thing is I'm still looking for the old tennis court at Memorial Park to be taken care of. I live right by there, and every time I go by there, there's kids running around. You know, it's just dangerous. So I'd really like to see that cleaned up. Other than that, the Exchange Club of Lincoln Park is having a rally on November 11th at Crystal Gardens. It starts at 7 o'clock. It's called 11/11 at 7. And it's a rally to end veteran homelessness. And I'm hoping there will be about 100 raffle baskets. We'll be serving pizzas. It's a cash bar. But it's a really good cause. So if you're looking to do something to help out veterans, it's a good chance to help out our neediest veterans. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilwoman Ross.
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to start off by thanking the police department for organizing the trunk or treat. That was a blast.
Absolutely.
I truly enjoyed that. And I know that the kids did as well. And then I know that a couple of us have already mentioned the Veterans Day commemoration and bell ringing ceremony. Thursday, November 11th at 11 a.m. at the Lincoln Park Historical Museum grounds. So everyone is welcome. And happy Veterans Day to all our veterans. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilwoman Dupre.
Yes, good evening. I just want to remind everybody, please keep the leaves out of the street.
Yeah.
It is against ordinance to put your leaves or grass in the street, and it can cause a lot of slippery issues and accidents. The trunk or treat was mentioned earlier. Last week, it was one of the best trunk or treats I've ever been to, and was just excited to see the kids lining up, waiting to come through. It was fantastic, and I can't wait to do it again next year. And that being said, good night and God bless.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Kelsey?
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody that put the trunk or treats on. There was a bunch of them. The Masonic Temple put one on. I know the police and fire put one on. I think, you know, the North Little League put one on. It was just great. And trick or treat last night was fantastic too. The weather was beautiful, and it was nice to see all the neighbors and the kids out. So it's nice to see that. I think things are starting to come back a little bit better, where people are feeling a little more comfortable. It's nice to see. Tonight we talked about a lot of heavy issues for the city: the lead line services, the sweepers, and it's not going to be easy to solve those issues. But if we don't start working on them earnestly, we're not going to get to the finish line. And unfortunately, some of these are artificial deadlines we have, not by us, but are made by either the manufacturer or by the state, depending when whoever we're under. And I think sometimes we forget that we have to work a little bit harder, maybe an extra day someplace around here to do a little bit more, maybe before the council meeting, because some of these issues take more time than we have the ability to do normally. And I think we just have to turn around and look at maybe expanding a little bit of the study sessions or the sessions we have. I know we've done a lot, but it just seems like these are two major issues. Yeah. Other than that, I want to say everybody, thank everybody, myself, thank you for all the comments. I appreciate that, and I will be there at the bell ringing on Veterans Day. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. What's unique about the bell ringing that they have there at the ceremony, not only they'll be honoring a couple of World War II veterans. I think one of the men is over 100 years old that will be there, or is planning to be there. Is that you can go after the service and ring the bell in honor of somebody that has served in your family, maybe your grandfather, maybe your great-grandfather, or serve for a neighbor or something, and you have that opportunity to go and to ring the bell. And it always gets stuck, and they have to free it, so it's a little bit of the part of the Lincoln Park tradition as we have there. But Jeff Day puts a nice program on, and make every effort to go there. And thank you for the police department for that trunk or treat. That was a nice event, and I forgot to mention that earlier. And with that, I will wish everybody a happy, I guess, yeah, it would be a happy Veterans Day, but just keep in mind those and what everyone had to do in order to keep us safe. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilperson Salcido?
Yes.
Dufresne?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Tobin?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.